In this video, I want to explore the very conscious techniques that I've employed to keep my romantic relationship healthier than it otherwise would be. And step one is a personal acknowledgement that I'm sick. And by sick, what I mean is I have a dis-ease that, physically, emotionally, mentally, my brain is not fully in the present. Parts of it, and the resulting thoughts and feelings are locked in trauma in the past in ways that are kind of bubbling up into the present. So this is not healthy. And every disease that we have, every pain, every shame, every depression, every rage, every terror, affects us and ripples out to everyone around us. It is how we were originally infected. Our environment, or our parents, or some bully or system in our lives infected us with their disease, their rage, their hate, their humiliation, etc., that they were passing on. And so one of the ways diseases survive is passing one to another, is self-perpetuating. And so in order, like any medical thing, this requires treatment. And so I want to talk about some of the habits and practices that keep a relationship cleaner, safer, healthier. And they're the opposite of often the destructive ways that they were given to us. Here's what I mean. Let's take child abuse, since that's my was my method of getting sick. So first of all, in child abuse, there's a huge power differential. You desperately need your parents. In some cases, they behave, speak, and act as if they'd be much happier if you didn't exist or were dead. So there's a power differential, there's a need differential. Then added to that, there are silences. Like there's blatant stuff going on in the family that is taboo to talk about, because if anyone talks about it, they will be shocked and raged at and lied to and attacked so strongly that even though it's very uncomfortable and crazy-making not to talk about it, it's even worse to talk about it. And so there's this covenant of silence, differential of power, differential of need, covenant of silence, veil of secrecy. Then there is abuse, denial. There's not apology. There's not repair. There's not space for the feelings to be acknowledged and impacted. And there's not balance. There's not like, I'm going to use you, this 2-year-old or 5-year-old or whatever, to unleash all my rage and shame. I'm going to use you for that vehicle. I'm going to feel better, but then I'm going to compensate you in some way. Like I'm going to really love you and give you, and take you to school and say, thank you for holding all that. It's more, no, that never even happened. So there's denial. And then when the feelings do come up, rather than being acknowledged and validated, they're humiliated, they are shamed, they are ignored. And so there's this complete deterioration of value. And the wound is exactly what one would expect. One feels crazy, one feels unimportant and insignificant, one feels profoundly unsafe. one doesn't fully even know what's going on because one has to keep a certain amount of secrets from oneself. One's desperately needy and often hating the abuses of power and the lies and distrusting. And so that is a condition for disease. It's natural. So bringing in health turns that basically on its head. So, and then finally, there's no freedom in all that power differential. There's no freedom to leave. There's no freedom to renegotiate. You know, as a 5-year-old, you're just screwed and you're stuck in this terrifying, reality for X number of years. So, same disease, PTSD, going consciously into a relationship as an adult. How can that environment be restructured in kind of the opposite? So number one, full disclosure. I've got PTSD. These are the symptoms. This is how it shows up. This is what isn't fair. Like I'm sorry about these things about me. They're not, it's not fair to anyone. And this is what you're signing up for. So naming, full disclosure, as opposed to hiding and pretending, giving someone choice, as opposed to one stuck, you're born into this and you have absolutely no choice. So choice, full disclosure, naming and education. 2, acknowledging impact. Like, yeah, I was over the top right there. I see that. Sorry, and then 3rd, apologizing. So I'm sorry. I acknowledge it had this impact. I acknowledge this is what happened. You're not crazy. This is my disease. I'm sorry. 4th, consciously seeking win-win in a paradigm of win-win or no deal. So this is a win for me. This is a win for you. Can we create a framework in which connecting is the best path for both of us to create well-being, healing, growth, fun, etc., etc., and freedom to exit. Now, this has 2 components. One is periodically looking at, well, it actually has 3 components. One is periodically looking at the relationship and just saying, is this relationship still, for you, the most healthy, conscious path to well-being? Yes in this area, no in that area, it's okay in this area, yes in this area, great in this area. Overall, of all the choices available to me, this is still the best path to well-being. And how about for you? Needs to be both. The other part of that is consciously just talking about and intending that the way the relationship unfolds, both people grow to become stronger individuals within the relationship. So here's what I mean. You don't take a sports, a hockey player, say, oh no, I can't have you playing hockey. That upsets my PTSD. Quit your hockey, quit your hockey thing. And then I don't want you working out too much. Let's just veg out together and have fun. And now you've lost your job, you've lost your, physical health. You're not studying anything new. You're not earning any money because, you're not working. And then if the relationship ends, they're in a weaker position than when you began. So part of health is to see that while we're together, we're growing and growing one another to a point where we're healthier and stronger as individuals, should either of us feel it's healthy to separate at some point. So that's a practical level. And then finally, it's having the agreement that if it's not good for either one of us. Here is a healthy way to end. As long as you're honest, tell me immediately. We have a good healing closing ritual of talking about what worked, what didn't, and honoring all the gifts we've brought one another. And we have a clean, clear separation with an understanding of what that means. And then, let go. So this helps to balance the differential of power, and also creates a freedom that isn't there in the abuse. Finally, a certain amount of conscious balance within the framework of give and take. And so I think it's important and healthy not to have martyrs, not to have this be undiscussed, but to say, look, in this area, I'm really needy. I really need this, 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 and this, and this, and this. I'm also taking a toll on you. Like I'm overreacting 30% of the time, and it makes you nervous. I'm critical when I'm scared, and that kills the love. I am hyper-controlling in this area, and that's not balanced, meaning you're not hyper-controlling in areas that balance that out. So I'm taking a toll in this area. I'm receiving from you in this area, and I'm affecting you negatively in this area. Let's be honest about what that is, and where's the balance? What am I going to give to you and share with you and offer you that balances that out in a conscious, responsible way? That could be money. That could be guidance and teaching. That could be extra gifts. Apologizing and acknowledging is, I think, a really important thing on a regular basis, to say, I saw how your face fell when I just had to criticize this intensely because I was feeling scared, and critical energy just feels strong, and it just anchored me at that moment. But I saw how it disappointed you. I'm really sorry. What I'd like to do is give you a lot of joy this afternoon. Let's do something that kind of just lifts you up and gives you something to consciously balance our impact. I think that's also honoring of ourself, makes the relationship sustainable, so that, because if either person is deteriorating within the relationship, it's not a sustainable relationship. It means that in each year goes by, you have a less healthy, strong partner to be with, rather than someone who's stronger and stronger. So you want to build each other up and track. Are we building one another up? Are we not? In what areas? And it's not perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect in every moment. It doesn't have to be perfect in every area. It's fine to have someone who has a great resource give much more than the other person gives in this area, and receive much more than than is given in some other area. But that overall, you're really clear that it is win-win or no deal. And that's also no more, and working to minimize the power differentials, acknowledging them, working to minimize them. That's part of also, growing to be more independent. And this does an enormous amount to keep our relationship healthy, balanced, and sustainable, while at the same time acknowledging all of the sickness and accepting that, until we are healed of terror, rage, pain, loneliness, panic, that is not in the present. It does not belong to the context that we're in the partner. It's bubbling up from places locked in the body, locked in the memory, locked in the past that feels like the present. Until we fully heal that, we can't fully be a healthy partner. And we don't want to pass the disease on in the way it was passed to us. Because someone gave us this disease. We were not born with it. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with us. But we were infected like any virus. It took a hold, and it's now self-perpetuating. But this is something that can allow a relationship to stay healthy enough that the relationship can help us get better rather than creating a toxic relationship that further adds and creates and recreates the wound in the present.